2, David Shearer.
Thank you, Mr Speaker. To the Prime Minister, does he have confidence in all his ministers?
Honourable Bill English, on behalf of the Prime Minister.
On behalf of the Prime Minister, yes, they are competent and hard-working ministers.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
What responsibility should the Minister of Finance take for the increase in Solid Energy's debt?
Yes, that's a good question. Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, the government in its first term of office had a look at SOE balance sheets and made a decision that many of them could carry more debt in a way which would enhance the performance of the company. It did make a decision to allow Solid Energy to take on more debt.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
In a letter dated 28th of May 2009, did the Minister of Finance approve increased debt ratios for Solid Energy that led to debt ballooning from $13 million to $300 million between 2008 and 2012?
Yes.
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, yes, there was such a letter signed by myself and the Minister of SOEs, and the decisions about how much debt to incur were made by the board, but we inherited a range of SOEs who were badly run, overspending, overinvesting, and we took a whole range of measures to lift their performance. In the case of Solid Energy, it's turned out that a company which is operating in the world coal market, which is now so volatile, would have been better with no debt. In retrospect, that's easy to see. At the time, it wasn't.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Why did the Minister of Finance require Solid Energy to increase its dividends and debt at a time when he knew that coal prices were declining?
Honourable Bill English, on behalf of the Prime Minister.
Mr Speaker, at the time, it wasn't clear that coal prices were declining. In fact, the best advice from the company with which the government ended up disagreeing was that coal prices would continue to rise. But as I said, that decision was made in the context of the mess that the previous government left with the SOEs.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Point of order, Mr Speaker. I'd like to table a letter from the Minister of SOEs to Mr John Palmer on the 20th of May 2009, copied to the Minister of Finance, where he insists that SOEs increase their gearing and their dividends.
Leave us sort. I think I've got enough information. Leave us sort for the tabling of that letter. Is there any objection to that? No, there's none. It may be so tabled.
How can he have confidence in his Minister of Finance when he put pressure on Solid Energy to increase debt at the same time he was telling New Zealanders that controlling debt was his top priority?
Honourable Bill English.
Mr Speaker, as the member will know, putting the SOEs carrying more debt simply shifts the debt around the government balance sheet. Either they carry it or we carry it. Secondly, it is one of the completely normal commercial means by which owners of companies put pressure on companies to perform. And the fact is that the SOEs had been under no pressure to perform under the previous government, and we expect better value for the taxpayers' investment. And I'd have to say we were successfully able to improve the performance of most SOEs over that period. In the case of Solid Energy, a sharp drop in the coal price, and a loss of export markets put them into financial difficulty.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Was his Minister of Finance advised that such an approach to increase dividends and increase gearing at a time when coal prices were actually falling, that approach would stretch SOEs and, quote, may not be realistically achievable in the short term without inflicting undue harm on the credit rating and or investments plans? And if so, did he accept that advice?
Honourable Bill English.
Oh, Mr Speaker, I'm sure it was good advice. The Minister did accept it. But the opposition can't have it both. The opposition can't have it both ways. They're opposing asset sales because the government is giving away dividends, and now they're opposing measures the government took to get dividends out of SOEs.
Supplementary question, David Shearer.
Does he have confidence in the Minister of Finance, given he thought it was right to take a $30 million dividend in September 2011, when it was apparent then that Solid Energy was in financial trouble?
Very good question.
Honourable Bill English.
No, Mr. Speaker, I don't agree with that. And bear in mind here, this was a company valued at over $2 billion, paying almost no dividends. Opposition parties have been saying that these companies should never be sold because we're giving away big dividends. In fact, at the time, it looked like billions of dollars of value with very little return to the taxpayer. What's the point in owning a company like that?
Supplementary question, Materia Ture.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Will the Prime Minister censure his Minister of Housing for saying yesterday that the Metropolitan Urban Limit has contributed very negatively to housing affordability in Auckland, when the Minister's own official documents show that he is wrong?
Honourable Bill English, on behalf of the Prime Minister.
On behalf of the Prime Minister, he certainly won't be censuring the Minister of Housing, because that's not what the document shows. What the document shows is that the Auckland regional strategy failed. It was meant to create densification in the city. In fact, there are less new building going on in the city now than ever, and more of the new development in Auckland in the last 10 years has occurred out on the urban limit. And we've got ongoing discussions with the Auckland City Council trying to get a sensible outcome that will give New Zealanders who live in Auckland, which is a big proportion of them, a reasonable opportunity to get access to reasonably priced housing, even if that doesn't fit with the planners' dreams about ideal cities.
Point of order, Materia Ture.
I understand sometimes an explanation is needed by ministers, but the standing orders are very clear. The answer should be succinct, and I would hope that you would see those rules being met.
It certainly was a very lengthy answer. It is now concluded. Has the member got further supplementaries?
Supplementary. Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Is it therefore acceptable to the Prime Minister for his Minister of Housing to intentionally misrepresent the facts of housing to the public?
Honourable Bill English, on behalf of the Prime Minister.
The Minister did not misrepresent the facts. In fact, I would advise the member to read the report. The most stunning conclusion from which is that where Auckland Council said there were 15,000 sections ready for building, it turns out there are 2,000 sections ready for building, and that is why so many middle and low income New Zealanders can't afford houses in Auckland. That member might like it that way. We think it's a bad outcome and we want to change it.
Question number 3, Ian McKelvey.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. My question is to the Minister of Police.